And good evening. Welcome again to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly. And tonight, it's time for new comics, bitches! So, let's get on to it. So, what shall I talk about first? Well, let's talk about Schism. We've got Schism, number 3 of 5. Now, we have a little bit of what this particular issue deals with is a little bit into who these child heads of the Hellfire Club. A little bit more insight into who they are. One of them is a their family were slave traders. Now he's still a slave trader, but he sends human slaves to other galaxies. And he actually just sent his 7 older brothers, so he's now heir to his family's fortune. Then there's another young Bavarian prince, another child who was apparently a brilliant medical student, even though he's like 12. And apparently he actually has a more famous last name, which rhymes with Stankenstein. Apparently, that's kind of what's meant to be his last name. But he does shush him before the name is said. And then there's then the little girl, the really, really uber creepy little girl, is basically just the insane child of a hotel entrepreneur. I don't know if that's supposed to be like maybe a little tiny riff on maybe this is like the early Paris Hilton. If it isn't, then fine. But if it is, then even better. But they've basically they blocked telepathy to the between Emma and the rest of the X-Men. So just at the Museum of Mutant History, it's just it's Emma, Namor, Magneto, Iceman, and Colossus. But also there were some of the younger students who were on Utopia, one of them being Idy, who is the young girl that Wolverine has taken kind of a shine to over the last couple of issues. Meanwhile, Scott is trying to prevent all hell from breaking loose at the museum. He's actually flying there in a jetpack, which is pretty cool. And I thought to myself, well, why doesn't he just have a Nightcrawler teleport him? But I forgot that Nightcrawler's dead. And Wolverine is alone in a bar drinking, doing what he does best. But these children, these small children, have basically developed these weapons that will counter all of the the major assault capabilities that these specific X-Men seem to have, which seems a little off to me, but whatever. How do they know that it would be these 5 X-Men that would be sent to this museum? Because they all seem to have, one of them has one that specifically can take down Namor. One of them has something that will specifically take down Magneto. And just the rest of the, so on and so forth. And then, the little girl has her little alien, face hugger type things. It is interesting because the whole thing, basically these the 5 there have lost. They're all beaten by these children. And they're basically planting a suitcase bomb, but we don't know what's in the bomb. Idie is in telepathic communication with both Cyclops and Wolverine. She thinks she might be able to save the day. Wolverine says no. Don't try and do anything. Just get out of there. Cyclops basically says, it's your call. And the whole time, Wolverine is, he just doesn't want her in this type of situation. I guess, okay, first things first, I mean, it's still an extremely well-written issue. If this weren't issue 3 of 5, I would say this is a pretty, this is still a really good issue with, there's, a lot of stuff yet to go. But it's not, where there's only 2 issues left before it splits into Uncanny X-Men and Wolverine and the X-Men. So my, now the suitcase bomb does go off, but it forms into something that is certainly no welcome sight to any X-Man, or any mutant, I would say. My real problem with this issue is the fact that there seems to be no real, there's some animosity between Wolverine and Cyclops, particularly over the Idie thing, but other than that, I don't see why are these two going to come to a head? Why are these two going to duke it out in the next issue? Because that is what they that is what they say. Okay, well, next issue, that's going to be the big throwdown between Cyclops and Wolverine. I don't get it. I don't get why, there's nothing built up as of yet that seems to suggest that these two are going to come to some serious blows over what's going on. So maybe next issue, Jason Aaron will figure out what the hell, I mean, obviously he's already had a plan, but this seems like it's taken its time working its way up to something, but then the finale is going to be too quick. Once it's over, it's going to be like, oh, holy shit, what the hell just happened? So that I'm not too fond of. So yeah, I mean, like I said, if this were not issue 3 of 5, this would be a really solid, really good issue. Instead of it's a pretty good issue, but still there's there aren't miles left to go before they sleep here, and it's just that is problematic. So overall, I think that Schism might not be as awesome as I was hoping it was going to be, if this issue is an indication of that. Avengers number 16. I actually loved this issue. I really like what they're doing with Bendis is doing with the talking heads. Again, always nice to see. I always love John Romita Jr.'s art, especially when inked by Klaus Janson. And this was also another nice thing about Schism was Daniel Acuna. His art is really great. But like I said, the whole talking head thing, and this issue is very Steve Rogers centric. I mean, they keep calling him Captain America because basically this takes place after Bucky is dead, and they're now dealing with that. And Steve Rogers is dealing with that. He's still Commander Steve Rogers technically. He hasn't taken up the mantle yet. He's not in his full Captain America dress yet. So now he's got to deal with Bucky's death a second time. He has basically he's using a lot of he's putting a lot out there to try and find sin. That's basically his mission right now. So this issue basically it's he kind of teams up. He doesn't pull any of the any major Avengers off the lines of combat. There, it's just him, Sharon Carter, Maria Hill, and Victoria Hand. Go and assault. They basically hear that she's bunkered up somewhere in Sweden. So they go to this like 4-man assault team. 1 man, 3 women, 4-person assault team to take down Sin. he's not, like I said, he's not in costume, but he is definitely wielding the shield. And what he finds there is not Sin, unfortunately, but Masterman and the Exiles. And all, of course, all fucking hell breaks loose. What I thought was cool about this particular comic. I have not read Secret Warriors, which I believe is Hickman. I've not read a single issue of that, which I do feel kind of bad about. But Daisy Johnson, I knew that she was a member of Nick's Secret Warriors. And, because I liked Daisy when she was first introduced back in Secret War, not Secret Wars, in Secret War, the one that was kind of right before Civil War, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, she has the earthquake powers and everything like that. And she kind of bails them out, but also, the whole thing, basically, the whole mission is scrubbed because it was all bad intel from the get-go. Sin, of course, is not there. Cap is just, he's about to lose his shit. You can definitely tell that this man is really hanging on by a thread. He desperately wants to avenge Bucky's death, and he, and to keep getting, all this shit kind of thrown in his face, it just hurts even more. And, also the fact that he's dealing with, Bucky's death a second time, although this time he's seen it, he's seen the body, he knows that Bucky's really dead. So, that's a really bitter pill for Cap to swallow. This was another excellent issue of this comic. It's, I'm really liking what Bendis, because I stopped reading it after, like, the 4th issue, because I was more concentrating on Secret Avengers. That may change, particularly after what's his face, Warren Ellis comes in on Secret Avengers, because he has a habit of ruining things that I tend to love once he comes in. His original series, sometimes I tend to not mind as much, but when it's not something that he's created and he's just coming in, that's where I have a problem. But yeah, this really terrific issue. Like I said, really liking the direction that they've started to go in these past, 4 or 5 issues, and I'm, definitely interested, especially with these Fear Itself tie-ins. It seems to be working out. Yeah, we'll just pick it up on the next one, because this, of course, ran a little bit long. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about more right after this. Like there's a commercial break. No, just stay tuned. We'll be right back. Part 2.